Hi, and welcome to part one of this webinar series on how to build a business as a fashion influencer. I want to thank you, first of all, for joining us today and taking the time out of your busy schedules. But happy you're here, and hopefully you get something out of this, and I think you will. So there are a few benefits to joining us live. The main benefit is that you'll be able to ask us questions via the live chat as we go through each slide. We want to make this as interactive as possible, so feel free to type in any of your questions in the chat box. And what we've decided to do, because there was just so much information, is break this webinar up into three parts. This is the first part. The second part you'll receive via a follow-up email, and the second part will have our interview with Simonetta Lein, and she'll go over what she's done to build her business. She'll basically give you good lots of good insights and tips. So some of the questions that we'll be answering today are what you see here. The main point of doing this three-part webinar series is to talk through what it takes to build your brand and your business as a fashion influencer. And really, what better way to discuss this than to have Simonetta Lein talk through these things, and who has seen the success and built her brand in just the last few years. So what we'll go over is the basic roadmap and developing your business. We'll go over the basics of branding yourself in your space or your niche. We'll show you how to draw attention and traffic to your website and social media accounts. We'll go over how to develop social profiles that cultivate a loyal and engaged following. We'll also give you some tips on how to grow your followers on Instagram and Twitter, and exactly what some brands are looking for in an influencer. We'll actually talk about that in the third part of this webinar series, what brands are looking for in an influencer. We'll also talk about how to land your first collaboration, how to structure your fees. But we really want to be able to provide information for those who are just getting started, and maybe those who have established a following and are looking to improve other aspects of their business. So before we jump into things, I want to first introduce myself, and Simonetta will be introducing herself in the next video. But I'm Sharon Herzog. I'm the founder of Fashion PR Girl, and some of you are a part of our community where I help you connect with brands through our free collaboration listings. I also help some of you grow your social media accounts, but our core focus is helping brands connect with micro-influencers, and not necessarily those who have millions of followers, but those influencers who have something unique about their content, and may not have, maybe they have 5,000 followers, for example, and of those 5,000 followers, 4,000 of them are highly engaged. They always comment, they always like their photos, and they listen to the influencer. So those are the types of people that we work with, and they don't have to have several 100,000 followers. They don't have to have 2 million followers. They can have 500 followers and still influence and make an impact for any business that they work with. So we not only do this to give people who are starting out an opportunity, but we also do this because it's actually effective for brands to work with these types of people who have such high influence with their following. But we can get into that a little bit more in part 3 of this webinar series. And we're lucky to have Simonetta Lein, who will share her insights in about half an hour long video interview that you'll be receiving after this call. She's educated and trained in media and film from Italy, and is basically living proof of taking things from literally zero to the following that she has today. So I'm excited to go over those things with you. She'll be sharing her experience as it relates to the different stages of building a business, and we'll also give you some solid examples that you can use and apply right now. So what does this basic roadmap look like, to building your business? It doesn't always happen in straight steps that you see here. Hopefully you're able to see the slides, and for those who are just listening to the audio portion, I'll go over sort of what this sequence looks like. So there are many things to consider. I know that some of you are working full time and can't devote as much time as others to developing your business. But there are, this is a good sequence to follow, whether you're doing this part-time or full-time, and this is the sequence that Simonetta and I basically followed, to get us to the following that we see today and the success that we see today. So if you're here, you probably already have some sort of influence, and you have an idea of where you want to take your business. You probably have some sort of following, whether it's a few hundred followers or 10,000 followers. But whether you're starting at the very beginning or towards the end of this roadmap, you'll find that there's always something to improve. But this is what it looks like. It kind of looks boring, but there are so many elements that go into each part of the process. But for those, so again, for those who are just listening to the audio, I'll go over, what this looks like. So the first part of this roadmap is understanding where to start. The next step is knowing who you are and what your mission is. And from here, you'll know how to start branding yourself. From understanding these first few things, you'll be able to get some sort of direction on developing a web presence and growing an audience. You'll know what to communicate and start attracting people who identify with your message. And as you start to understand your audience's needs, you can start to understand what you have to offer. And as a fashion influencer, you may love, for example, everything about styling bohemian looks. That's just an example, but you may be living, you may not only like to wear bohemian chic looks, but you may live the bohemian life, and you may find that that's why some of your followers are following your feed. They aspire to live like you. They aspire to dress like you, and they admire your clothing and just the way you live your life. So when you know why people are attracted to your account, you'll be able to communicate this to potential brands and start monetizing through collaborations, sponsored posts, advertising, or products that you develop. And lastly, there's measuring results and repeating success. And I have measuring results as one of the last parts, but it's something that you want to do from the beginning so that you can actually see your progress. When you understand your baseline and see how any of your efforts have impacted new traffic or followers, you can repeat these wins to grow your business, to keep growing your business. And if what you're doing is working, you should keep doing it. So knowing where to start is sometimes one of the hardest things to decide, and there is no right answer, and it's not like a math problem where you can calculate something and come up with a number. But what you can do is establish a baseline, and we've done that with a poll. And with the poll results, we found that many of you know what your brand is, know what your mission is, but what you're trying to do is develop your website, your social following. So you know what you stand for, but it's a matter of where to find these people that that where you can develop your audience. How do you get those people to your account and have them start following you? So because many of you said that that's what you're trying to do, we'll focus a lot of the content on doing exactly that. So how do you start creating influence? Since we are establishing a presence online, we will essentially need to create content online. So you should first understand what you're good at in terms of content creation and do that first. Are you good at creating videos of yourself? Are you good at blogging? Are you good at taking photos? Are you good at interviewing people? What are you good at, and what type of content are you good at producing that will, producing content will help establish influence in your niche, because while you may be an expert at something, people don't know that, so you have to produce content to communicate that you are you're an expert in a specific area of focus. So if you don't know, try something out first, and then try the next thing if that's not what you enjoy. So maybe you're not very good at blogging and typing out 500 words per blog post. Maybe you prefer just taking photos, and And so that's why I would say start with an Instagram account, because with an Instagram account, you can take photos and post them easily, and for free. There are so many reasons why starting an Instagram account is a good first step. And as a fashion influencer, you can start documenting and sharing your personal style immediately using Instagram. You can also develop your brand on a social network that is conducive to building a business as a fashion influencer. Instagram is probably the most popular visual network for fashion, beauty, and lifestyle brands. And again, as I said earlier, it's easy and it's free to get started. All you have to do is really download it to your phone. But if you're a fashion influencer, the one social media network that you should be using at the minimum is Instagram. So whether you start using Twitter or Facebook, I think that you should start using Instagram. So I mentioned that we'll be sharing a pre-recorded video interview because the content that we wanted to share with you was just so much. It would have taken hours to get through the call. So during our interview with Simonetta, she'll be talking through how having a mission and branding yourself will help shape and differentiate your business. She'll take you through how she got started with absolutely no web presence, literally just a few years ago, to what her presence is today. And I'll go through in the next few slides what that looks like. So here's her Facebook page. Just a few years ago, she didn't have a Facebook page. She now has a verified Facebook page with over 70,000 fans. We all want that sort of blue check mark because that basically tells us how that we're almost like celebrities, on Facebook. And she's worked hard to get that check mark. She has a lot of influence, and Facebook has their own way of verifying you. I can't tell you exactly how to get that blue check mark, but she has a good following, and you can have 70,000, you can have 100,000 fans and have a lot of influence without having that blue check mark. But it's pretty amazing going from nothing to what she has now with her Facebook page. Her Instagram account has over 115,000 followers, and just a few months ago when I first met Simonetta, she was at 103,000. So it was a good organic growth from the time that I met her to now. And you could see, if you go to her account, she has people commenting and liking her photos consistently. So her Twitter account has over 252,000 followers. When I met her a few months ago, she was at 192,000. So, again, a good organic growth. I could say that I know that it's hard getting your first 100 followers and your first 500 followers, first 1,000 followers, but you can get there. And as you start to grow and as you start to establish a following, it gets easier because you post a little bit more. You know what to post, what works, and as people start to see sort of that social proof as you gain more followers, it's easier for them to follow you. You're making the decision a lot easier for them to follow you back. So this is Simo's website, and this is the foundation part. So she's established the Wishball Foundation. She's the founder of this nonprofit, and what she knows what her mission is, and this is part of her mission. She's basically helping people fulfill their wishes. So what she does is allows people to post their wishes, and brands and companies can help fulfill them. So that's what she's done here with the Wishball Foundation. And I see that she has thousands of unique visitors every single month, and she just established this again, just a couple or a few years ago, if not just a couple years ago. So what will you learn during her interview in part 2 of this webinar? You'll learn so many tips and insights. You'll learn the basics of branding yourself in your space or your niche, how to draw attention and traffic to your website and social media accounts, how to develop social profiles that cultivate and engage, and loyal following, what to do to grow your followers on Instagram and Twitter. There's going to be a lot of good advice from over 10 years of experience in taking her business from nothing to what you see today. And in the third recording, I'll share with you some of the things brands are looking for in an influencer and what you need to know to land your first brand collaboration. We've gained insights from hundreds of bloggers and several PR agencies on, what they look for and how they work with bloggers. Sometimes there's a disconnect between the two. So, look forward to part 3 of this webinar series, and I'm also excited to go over some of that information with you. And also, we've had a few questions submitted from other people from our last webinar with Crosby from PR Couture, and here's one from Angela. I'm an Instagrammer that focuses on fashion lifestyle posts, but I don't have a blog. Is it recommended for me to have one in order to be seriously considered by brands? How do I determine fees? From Medea, how do I come up with ideas to post on Instagram? How do I attract like-minded collaborators? From Bianca, should I charge or is it purely collaborative? We answered these questions and more, in the third part of the webinar. So look for that, and look for that via email. So what are your next steps? First, look for our next 2 emails that will contain the recordings. So our next email will contain this recording and the recording with Simonetta Lein. And the second thing that you should do is look to see or look for that email that has information about our in-depth training that will start on December 1st. And if you go to fashionprgirl.com/influencer, you'll see links to these videos and links to more information about that in-depth training program for establishing your business as a fashion influencer. And lastly, I want to thank you all again for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us for this webinar. Feel free to email questions to Sharon at fashionprgirl.com, and I'll get back with you as soon as possible. You can also connect with us on Twitter. But again, for those who have signed up, and I know that most of you have signed up through the official link, you'll be receiving an email with more information. So look for that and look forward to the next part of this webinar series. Thanks again.